Hey, welcome to the Nursing Dose with your host, Dr. Farah Laurent. Today, I want to talk to you about why you're struggling to get hired as a new nurse. If you're a new nurse that's currently applying, you can't figure out why you're not getting interviews, why you're not getting actual offers as a new graduate nurse. I'm going to dive deeper into this topic and actually show you exactly why you're struggling and really get truthful with you about the reasons. Okay. So if you happen to be watching, let me know in the chat. Drop any comments, questions that you have regarding the job search process, interviews. I know some of you have interviews coming up. So if you want to avoid interview mistakes, this episode is definitely for you. Even if you're watching the replay, I invite you to drop any questions or comments that you guys may have. So, shout out to everybody watching on Instagram, YouTube, LinkedIn, Facebook, and TikTok. For those who don't know me, my name is Dr. Farah Laurent. I've been a nurse for over 20 years. I'm not new to this, I'm true to this, right? I'm helping and coaching and guiding new graduate nurses all over the US and Canada. I've guided over 200 nurses to secure their dream role in specialty areas like the ICU, the ER, labor and delivery, NICU, PICU, psych, all of the things. And I want you to know that it is possible for you as well to get into these specialty areas. Why do I do this? It's because essentially I'm helping my younger self. 20 years ago, they told me when I was in nursing school in Canada that I would never be an ER nurse and that I should stick to med surge and that I was too unorganized to become an ER nurse. Did not listen to that. I pursued the emergency department anyway. I got hired as a nursing student and went on to be an ER nurse for 13 years. I moved to New York. I pursued travel nursing, went into education. I've held many roles in education and leadership, and that's why I am doing what I'm doing today. So today I'm a nurse career coach. For those who don't know what that is, I basically have dedicated the last 5 years, started this business to help and guide new graduate nurses basically to their dream role. So I have a course called New Nurse to Dream Role. I have a webinar that I host every single Thursday. So I invite you to actually sign up for that webinar. It's happening this Thursday, and um, I will put it in the chat so you guys can see where you can sign up, newnursejob.com, or you can simply just go to the link in the bio on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube. It's in the description, and on TikTok, the link is in the bio. So let's get into the top 5 reasons why you, as a new graduate nurse, is you're not getting hired. Okay, and some of you might be thinking, get hired? Like I can't even get an interview. Like let's talk about that. Okay, so let's talk about both those things. And in today's episode, I'm going to share a couple tips for you on what you can do to start getting to the interview phase and how you have to actually be proactive to get these interviews. And when you get to the interview stage, what are things that you can avoid that will hurt your chances? Okay. So you definitely want to listen until the end. And I will share, like I said, 5 reasons you are struggling to get interviews, struggling to get an offer as a brand new nurse. And I'm going to dive into some tips, into some strategies. And of course, I invite you to attend this free webinar on Thursday, newnursejob.com. Who can attend? Any new graduate nurse across the US, Canada, the UK, or Australia. And if you're a senior nursing student about to graduate, I also invite you to attend. Okay. So let's get into number 1. The number 1 reason why you are struggling to get hired is because you have some type of fear, some type of uncertainty that is coming across in your interviews, or it's coming across in your conversations, even with the recruiters. Many times, recruiters will call you ahead of time, get you on the phone, and do a phone screening to see if they want to move you on to the next phase of interviewing. Now, if there's any sound of fear, uncertainty over the phone, and there's a lot of doubt, then it's going to be very difficult for that recruiter to move you on to the interview phase. Okay. So that's part one. What is part two of that fear and uncertainty? Part two is you are fearful that you don't actually have what it takes to become XYZ nurse. So let's say deep down, you really want to be a critical care nurse. This is the number one request when I talk to hundreds of nurses, literally every month. That is the top specialty that most new nurses want to start in is critical care. And let me know in the chat if you guys, I know there's a lot of people joining on TikTok, so what's up? Same thing on Instagram, YouTube, LinkedIn, Facebook. Let me know in the chat what your thoughts are. Definitely, it's the number one most in-demand specialty is the ICU. But when I talk to many nurses, they'll say, yeah, that's my dream role. I really want to be an ICU nurse, but I don't know if I can get there just yet. I don't know if I'm ready. I don't know if I'll have the skills, to be a good critical care nurse. And then what they do is they start backpedaling and they're like, you know what? Maybe I'll just take med surge. Maybe I'll just take anything that opens up first. And then later down the line, I'll become a critical care nurse. Okay. And this is true for any specialty, whether you want to go into the ER, labor and delivery, pediatrics. Many nurses fear that they might not have the skills. They fear that, you know what? Oh my goodness, maybe I'm not ready for it. And maybe I should just take this other thing that opens up until I'm ready. Well, guess what? You're never going to feel 100% ready to go into your preferred specialty. The only way that you're going to get in there is if you actually have the audacity to try and the conviction and the belief that you can get it. And the fact that you want to go into critical care or the ER or labor and delivery, there's a story behind that. Okay. There's often a deep rooted story of either something happened to you personally or something happened to your family member, or maybe you saw something that's really inspired you, or the other way, pissed you off. And you're like, you know what? I want to make a difference. I want to be in this, in the pediatrics or in the women's health field or critical care because of this, this, and this. You are meant to be there. But what's happening is fear is getting in the way and you're starting to doubt yourself. And it's not just your fault, it's nursing school. So that right there, you need to reframe your mindset and you need to know that you're never going to feel 100% ready no matter where you go. So why not take that leap? Why not have that faith to move forward and get exactly what you want? Because it is possible. But the first person that has to believe is you. And if you don't believe that it's 100% possible, and if you have any type of uncertainty or doubt, it's going to come across in your interviews. It's going to come across in your conversations with the recruiter. And if they feel that doubt, that uncertainty, and that fear, they're going to know, hey, you're not confident and I should not move you on to the next phase of interviews. Or they're going to know, hey, this person has a lot of doubts and self-esteem issues. They're not confident. So I don't even think they believe that they could be a critical care nurse or whatever, nurse that you're, whatever specialty you're applying for. And that's why you're not getting the offer. And some of you might be wondering, like, I'm not getting any feedback after interviews. I keep getting rejection after rejection. Well, that's one of the reasons why you're most likely struggling to get an offer. It's because you have deep rooted fear, and it's not just your fault. Like I said, nursing school only prepares you to pass the NCLEX, and they don't really prepare you for the job search process and for going into these interviews. And they don't know, they don't help you on how to market yourself, how to promote yourself, and how to come across confident. So this is where I come in as a nurse career coach. And this is why I've built this business as a nurse career coach. And this is why I offer so much content literally every day surrounding these topics because I didn't have this as a new nurse. And I also have a YouTube channel. If you haven't checked it out, go check it out. It's called The Nursing Dose with Farah. I drop a video every single week. And then, of course, my webinar. I have a weekly webinar that I do every Thursday. You should definitely sign up because I talk about more in-depth strategies and tips on how you can get hired faster. And also at the end, I'll give you an opportunity to learn a little bit more about my coaching program. Again, it's not for everybody. I'm very selective about who gets into it. And I only accept nurses who are ready to take action, ready to do the work. And you'll get an opportunity to book a one-on-one consultation call with me if you do meet the initial criteria. But you'll learn about that at the end of the webinar. Okay. All right. So if you're just joining me, we're talking about 5 reasons why most nurses struggle to get the actual offer that they want. Okay. So number 1 was fear. And really the biggest thing to get around that is reframing your mindset and just accepting that you're not going to 100% feel ready for any role that you get. Okay. You just got to take that leap of faith, trust yourself, and believe that you will get the right orientation, the right support. And that's why it's also important that you are also interviewing the employer and that you don't just take any job. You want to make sure you take the right one that's going to support you in your transition of practice and that's going to have a really good orientation so that you can feel super confident as you're entering the workforce in your preferred specialty. Okay. Number 2, another reason why most nurses struggle to get hired is scarcity mindset. Okay, again, goes back to that mindset. Okay, what does scarcity mindset mean? Okay, perfect. Somebody says they love their specialty and wouldn't want to work anywhere else. Okay, amazing. Awesome. So yeah, scarcity mindset is a lot of nurses that I meet, especially in big cities like New York City and San Francisco, they'll say things like, the city I live in is so competitive. The market is just so oversaturated. And I'm just struggling to get into the ICU or struggling to get into the ER. There's just no opportunities. There's no jobs out there for new grads. And they're all asking for us to have experience. And then this gets replayed over and over on repeat. And what starts happening is you start marinating in this negativity type state. And that's what's preventing you from moving forward. Okay. You need to remove yourself from that scarcity mindset and start reframing your thoughts with positive thoughts. Like, yes, there are the right opportunities out there. The right opportunity will find me. I will attract the right position. I just need to position myself to get it. Okay. The other piece of that is most nurses are not willing to do what it takes to get there. Right? But you need to have the mindset of a growth mindset. Like, yes, I can get it. It can happen. It's just a matter of time. And I just need to be in alignment with my goals. Okay. And if you are 100% sure, you believe, you have the conviction, and you do everything in your power and not just sitting around waiting, but you take action and move forward, you will get what you want. Okay. It's all about how you frame your mindset. And if you stay in that negativity mindset, you're not going to get very far. Okay. People, right, naturally are attracted to other people that are positive, that have a good outlook, right? So let's say you enter the interview and before you even go to the interview, you're already counting yourself out. You're like, oh my goodness, I have an interview at Kaiser and they told me that 5,000 people applied to this job and it's so competitive and I don't even know if I'm going to get the job. Already, you're counting yourself out, right? The scarcity is taking over and you're not even truly believing that you can have a chance at this role. So if you're already going in thinking that you're not going to get it and there's 5,000 people who applied or 3,000 applications, you're already setting yourself up for sabotage and not to be successful. But if you go in and you're like, you know what? I got a chance at this. I prepared myself. This is the role for me. I know I can get it. and you have that positivity going in, you're more likely to get that role. Okay. And I know it sounds all woo woo, but trust me, it works. I've guided over 200 nurses in my program to get hired, and a lot of the work has to do with mindset in the beginning. Okay. So that's number two. Number three is most nurses are not willing to invest in themselves. So if you're sitting around thinking, hey, I really want to be an ICU nurse, and then you're thinking, well, but I don't want to invest a couple $100s on ACLS because I was told that the hospital will just pay for it once I'm hired. Okay. So again, that's scarcity mindset. And again, that's you not wanting to invest in yourself to make you a better nurse. And you are relying on an external factor like the actual hospital hiring you first. But if you can't even get to the interview stage, hello, you can't get an interview, but you don't want to invest a couple $100s in getting ACLS. Like, what are you thinking? Right? You have to be able to invest in yourself, in your career, and in your future. And guess what? Those couple $100s of you getting ACLS, or even if your certifications equal up to $1,000 or $2,000, so what? It's going to get you closer to getting that labor and delivery position, the ICU position, the pediatric, whatever that is. Okay. But if you think you're just going to sit around, submit a resume that has no certifications at all, and you're competing with other nurses who have all of the certifications, hello, no wonder why you're not getting called back for interviews, because you're not even willing to invest a bare minimum to make it to the interview stage. Okay. And I know it's hard for some of you guys to hear this, but this is exactly why my clients are successful, because I tell them the truth and I am direct, and I tell them what they need to do to get to where they want to be. And again, I always say, if you want to be in the group of nurses that get hired faster, you got to do what most nurses are not willing to do. And one of those things is investing in yourself. Okay. And then another piece of this is some of my clients, right, when they enter my coaching program, they are investing in themselves to get into a coaching program where I have proven frameworks and strategies that will help them get there. And I also guide them every step of the way. And I grill them when it comes to interviews, behavioral style questions, clinical style questions. I basically will get them ready for the interview so that when they get to that stage, it's it's just a wrap. Is it just for those hard to hire areas? Like, I don't know what you mean there. My hospital paid for ACLS and PALS. Yeah, some hospitals will pay for it. And some people are lucky enough to get into some positions with no certifications, and that's great, but that's not the story for everybody, especially in this job market. You have to be able to market yourself, or she said Pacific Northwest. Okay. You have to be able to market yourself and stand out from the rest of the candidates. And yes, is it possible for you to get hired into a specialty with no certifications? Yeah, it's possible. But if you're certified, the likelihood of you getting hired will be a lot faster. Same thing with career coaching. As a nurse career coach, right? There's research that says if you hire a career coach, you're 3 times more likely to get hired, right? Faster, because you actually have the framework, someone to guide you along the way. Okay. So definitely do not be afraid to invest in yourself, because that's what's keeping a lot of new nurses from the entry point of just getting interviews. Like, if you want to get into labor and delivery, the minimum is you getting NRP, neonatal resuscitation program. Like, there's no way around it. Some of these hospital systems and these residency programs will not even look at your application if you don't have NRP. Or another one is the fetal heart monitoring. If you don't have fetal heart monitoring or ACLS or NRP, you're not going to move to an interview. You're not going to move to the interview stage. Okay. And yes, I know there's exceptions, but do you really want to take that chance, or you want to be the one who gets hired faster? Okay. And then number 4, the reason why most nurses are struggling to get interviews or struggling to get hired is because you are simply not prepared. Okay. Most people think just by going on Google, typing in a couple questions, is the way they're going to prep for an interview. And the time to prep for an interview is literally not the day before your interview or 2 days before the interview. Like, you missed the boat if that's what you're doing. And interviewing or doing a mock interview with a friend who's not a nurse or is not even in healthcare is not going to help you. Or doing a mock interview with a family member who knows nothing about nursing is not going to help you in your interview. Okay. You need to do a mock interview with another nurse or a professional like me, a nurse career coach that will guide you and tell you exactly what you're doing wrong. Most people are too nice. They're going to say, yeah, I think you answered it right. They have no insight. They don't know anything about nursing or the preferred specialties that you want to get hired in. They don't know the ins and outs. On the other hand of the spectrum, I've actually conducted multiple interviews and have been on multiple interview panels at big, large hospital systems like NYU. And I know exactly what employers are looking for, right? Whether it's a panel interview, a one-on-one interview, a virtual interview, you have to be prepared. And there's a preparation format for each one of those. The way you prepare for a job fair versus a online virtual interview versus in-person versus a panel style interview is going to be very different. Okay. Even the way you formulate your answers and the time frame that you have is very different. Okay. So that's what I mean by prepping. And also, clinical style questions, most people do not prepare for that. Just because you passed your NCLEX doesn't mean that you just throw everything away and you're done with learning. As we know, nursing is continuous learning. If you are applying for a critical care role, an ER role, trust and believe you will get hard clinical questions. Some will ask you case studies, some will ask you priority questions. So you better know your stuff. If you can't answer some basic critical care questions, you will not get hired. If you cannot explain sepsis, what it is, what the signs and symptoms are, how to treat sepsis, the basic interventions, you are not going to get the job. I have a whole video on this on YouTube. Go check it out. It's my highest performing video, has like, I think 14,000 views. And I talk about every clinical style question that new grads should know. So definitely go check it out. It'll help you prepare from a clinical style standpoint, because you will be asked clinical style questions. Okay. You need to prep weeks in advance, not a day or two before your interview. And that's why most of you are not getting hired, because you are not ready and you are not prepping enough. If you want to dive deeper into these topics, I invite you to join my free webinar this Thursday at 1 p.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. PST. How do you sign up? Go to newnursejob.com. The link is in the bio on TikTok, Instagram, LinkedIn, I believe Facebook as well, and YouTube. It's in the description. So literally click on newnursejob.com. You can select the date, and then it'll bring you to a form to put your information, your email, your name, and your phone number. And then you'll also get a notification email with the Zoom link for the actual webinar. The webinar is 1 hour. Most of you are like, what is a webinar? It's going to be me live for an hour, going through some content about interviews, job search, and then you'll have the opportunity to ask me questions at the end. And then I also will talk a little bit about my coaching program. For those who are interested, they stay at the end of the webinar and we can talk a little bit more about that. Okay. As I wrap this up, number 5, the last reason why most nurses are not getting hired is because of these. I put it kind of into one, but it's because you have no strategy and you don't have any confidence. Okay, I know it's kind of like a 2-in-1. But the no strategy part is, I talk to so many nurses, and some of you might be doing this right now, that let's say you want to work in the ICU. You keep applying to ICU, but you keep getting rejection after rejection after rejection. And then you're like, you know what? Let me start applying to med-surg. Let me apply to pediatrics. Let me apply to women's health. Let me apply to psych. And then you start to get desperate. And now you're applying to every single job that you see. You're applying to long-term care, nursing homes, the whole bit. But initially, all you wanted was ICU. So now you're exhausted because you're applying to every single job that you see because you're becoming desperate and you have no strategy. And it's actually hurting your chances to get to the interview stage because now you've confused all the recruiters. Imagine you're applying to a hospital system like, let's say, NYU or Sutter or Stanford, and you have a recruiter who's receiving all these applications under one name, your name. And it's like, hey, they've applied to all of these different units. Which one do they really want? So now the recruiter doesn't even know where to move your application forward because you have 10 applications in 10 different units. You see where this confusion starts, right? And now you're applying to jobs that you don't even really want. Makes no sense. So that is not a strategy. Putting in more applications and getting yourself exhausted is not a strategy. Okay. In fact, what you need to do is double down on what you really want and position yourself for success to see, how am I going to position myself to get this ICU position? What else can I do? Right. So things like, for example, standing out on LinkedIn. If you don't have a LinkedIn profile, if it's not filled out, if it's not optimized, your About Me section is not filled out, all of these things matter because LinkedIn is actually, I say, better than your resume. And most recruiters will go and check you out on LinkedIn before they even invite you to a resume. I mean, not to a resume, to an interview. Okay, so don't sleep on LinkedIn. That is one big tip that I will give you. You have to be active on LinkedIn and your LinkedIn profile needs to be up to date. Please do not put your resume on LinkedIn. It's not a good look. Just don't do it. Okay. All right. Because it just looks desperate. And then the confidence piece, if you don't have any confidence, it's because you're not prepared. Back to the number 4. Okay. In order for you to be more confident, you have to be competent. Okay. How do you become more competent at interviews? Is by practicing and by preparing. Okay. So I hope that makes sense. And the way to practice is to know your clinical style questions, know your behavioral style questions, and know how to do your interview pitch in the beginning of your interview. These are all things that I'm going to cover in the webinar this Thursday. So I highly encourage that you sign up for that webinar. It's free. You don't have to pay for it. And the only investment is your time, is just to hang out with me for about an hour. And then you'll also have the opportunity to ask questions. And at the end, I'll give you the opportunity to book a one-on-one call with me if you do meet criteria to potentially join my program. Okay, and yes, my program is a paid coaching program, and we'll go through it at the end of the webinar if you are interested. Okay, but for now, as I mentioned, all of these topics, I'm going to go and dive deeper into them on this webinar Thursday, 1 p.m. Eastern or 10 a.m. PST. And that's about it. So again, thank you for joining me live. If you're still here, thank you. Thank you for joining on TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, LinkedIn, and Facebook. If you're not yet subscribed to my YouTube channel, please subscribe. I drop a video every single week, specifically on job search, interviews, and things like that. I have a ton of videos on there, so go check it out. It's The Nursing Dose with Farah. Once you click videos, you'll see all the videos pop up because I go live pretty often. So you see a bunch of live videos, but that's not what you want. You want to hit the video section and then subscribe to that series, especially if you're a senior nursing student and a brand new grad that is looking to get hired faster. And again, my name is Dr. Farah Laurent. All my past clients are getting hired in record time, following my frameworks and strategies. So this is not something that I just made up out of the blue. This is a proven system, a proven framework that gets nurses hired faster. Okay. So like I said, if you're interested to learn more, click the link in the bio to come to the webinar, New Nurse to Dream Role webinar. I will see you on Thursday. Thank you for listening. And I will be going live a couple of times during the week. Typically, I'll go live around this time, like 12:30, 1 p.m. So look out for that. Most likely tomorrow, I'll go live and Wednesday. And then probably on Thursday, I'll go live around 11 a.m. So again, thank you for watching. Thank you for hanging out with me. I hope this was helpful. Let me know in the comments, especially if you're watching the replay, if this was valuable, helpful, and any questions that you guys have. And I will see you on my webinar on Thursday. Again, it's free. Tell your friends, click on the link. Once it's full, it's full. You'll have to wait till the next one. So you don't want to miss out. Go and sign up now. New Nurse to Dream Role webinar. Click on the bio link, or you can simply go to newnursejob.com and sign up for it now. All right. Thanks, y'all, for watching, and I will see you next time. All right. Take care, y'all. Bye.